It's the early years of the Soviet Union, a time of massive change. Stalin dreams of a modern industrial nation, and he wants it fast. But to do it, he needs fuel. Lenin once said that coal is the bread of industry, and during the Soviet Union, the miner was held up as a shining example of what a worker should be, tireless and ready to sacrifice himself for his country. And the hardest workers of all were here in Siberia's Kuzbas region, taking the coal that would make everything from steel to records. Deep in Siberia, the Kuzbas is estimated to contain more than 700 billion tons of coal, and the mines employ more than 100,000 people. I wanted to meet these men and find out just what it takes to work in Russia's coal basin. And the first lesson they all learn is how to keep themselves safe.
The 667M life support system is designed to protect the lungs from gases in the event of a fire, explosion, or cave-in. If you have smoke around you, you take the cap off and drop it. Put the mouthpiece in your mouth, put on the nose clip, and exhale. Pull the belt up and go slow.
And once I'd had my briefing, it was time to head on down. Well, it's coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm about to join the day shift at the Komsomolec pit. Now that should be 6 hours in the longest shaft in the entire country, where they take out almost 200,000 tons of coal every month. The machine carrying us was like something out of a science fiction movie. A massive metal snake suspended on a monorail and slithering its way 300 meters beneath the earth. And the pit itself is equally ominous. An almost endless tunnel, dimly lit and with its black walls covered with a choking white dust. The ceiling is held in place with hydraulic beams, and each miner shuffles beneath them as they get into position behind the massive harvesting machine. And it's this multi-million-dollar cutting tool that allows them to extract 1,000 tons of coal every 40 minutes.
The machine's operated by two men, each using control panels. One on the right, one on the left. Quite frankly, colleges don't produce good professionals. The safety precautions described in the books and regulations really aren't helpful. You only gain experience by working as a team. The newcomers, they watch the old miners to learn how to do the job.
But that doesn't mean the miners are just thrown in at the deep end. The man operating the harvester literally has the lives of his colleagues in his hands. And each new recruit needs up to a year of training.
Look, you've made a mistake. You have to adjust the support leg before you can start extracting the coal.
If you don't make the grade, it's back to the drawing board. But there's much more than just classroom training involved. Each miner needs to show they know what to do if an emergency really does happen. You've got to be physically fit enough to get others out under the toughest of circumstances. Each new recruit has to undergo a grueling workout in a special sauna. It's ridiculously hot, and it's a nightmare.
Must be tougher than a normal gym, let alone in this heat.
The beeps just keep coming, and I was starting to feel a little dizzy. If this was a real situation, I might be expected to put out a fire, so you have to be able to stand the humidity. But once my pulse hit 150, I was told to take a break, on doctor's orders. And once I'd cooled down a bit, it was back to the grindstone.
The miners have to do 300 of those. I think I've managed about half. And I'm feeling quite proud of myself. But not to mention, a little bit sick right now. Oh dear. That is hard work.
Fortunately, conveyors and heavy machinery take most of the weight in today's modern pits. But the next day, I saw for myself that they can also break down.
Okay, next time we'll drop everything and do as you say.
Good. Everything needs to be in order.
The power's out. Okay, let me check. The circuits are open. Wait for 5 minutes, I'll get the power to you.
Get to it.
But it doesn't take long to get things going again. And that makes everyone happy. Except me, perhaps.
Now, this is a pretty dirty job at the best of times. But the thing about being the new guy is you get to do everything that no one else wants to do as well. What a glamorous life I lead.
There's no doubt that the miner's lot is better than it used to be. The men work less hours for more pay, and the times when you had to put in a full day of back-breaking labour are long gone. But some of the problems they face now are as real as they were more than a century ago. Now, back when these colonists first arrived here, you couldn't imagine a more difficult or dangerous profession than mining. As well as having to dig out all the coal by hand, there was always the ever-present threat that the roof might just collapse on your head. And that's where these pine supports came in. They would actually start to squeak if the pressure became too much. So at least there was a chance that the miners would hear and be able to get out. If that wasn't bad enough, they also had to worry about the build-up of methane gas because of the poor ventilation. And then, along would come the man with possibly the worst job in the entire world, dressed head to toe in wet goat hide and carrying a lit torch. He'd literally come up, chuck it into the gas-filled tunnel, and boom.
The explosion you've just seen was the result of safety regulations being violated. The supports weren't in line with safety regulations. A mass of coal caved in, hit the cable, and ripped open the insulation. The explosion was caused by an electric impulse from a faulty ventilator. The electrical equipment in the shaft was also faulty. That's how it happened.
Methane buildup has to be constantly monitored, and miners now have a way to do it on the ground. So this little gadget is a very important piece of safety equipment. Now everyone has one because it measures 3 different gases that are present in the air. The amount of oxygen, the amount of carbon monoxide, and the amount of methane. So if the amount of methane, for instance, reaches more than 1%, then lights will flash, alarms will sound, and everyone will know that they need to clear out. The Komsomolec shaft also has technology that tells them where their miners are at any time.
Now there are 2 guys down in the pit and 90 above ground. With a simple click of the mouse, you can see the name of everyone on shift today, and where they all are right now.
It's another vital precaution, because you never know exactly when an accident can happen.
Lava 3, Lava 3. Unit 3 duty manager, go ahead.
Cave in, Sector 6. Decopy.
Cave in, understood.
Damage and complexity of this oil spill was not something that you could grasp just by looking at dirty birds.
We have between 4 to 5 million people in this directly affected area of the coast, and it's pretty clear why it's not being reported, because BP can't afford to have it reported.
All along the Gulf Coast are clean, they are safe, and they are open for business.
BP is the single largest oil contributor to the Pentagon. The U.S. war machine is heavily reliant upon BP and their oil.
This is a huge step backwards for democracy. It's a step forward for oligarchy.
Corexit is toxic.
Because it looked a lot like spraying in Vietnam. It was not a picture that either the government or BP really wanted to have out there.
I don't want dispersants to be the Agent Orange of this oil spill.
Maintain contact with base. Number 2, monitor CO levels. Number 3, set up communications. And 4, take temperature readings every 5 minutes. If you find anyone, help them.
Everybody keep still. Stand by to follow.
Our task today concerns both tactical and technical training. It will involve 2 units. Our unit is at the underground base. We are to keep in touch with the 2nd unit. If the 2nd unit needs help, we are duty bound to give it.
Rescue unit, with me.
The search unit is currently moving along Route 11. No injured people have been found so far. If it turns out there is gas and too much smoke, then the men will navigate further with the help of ropes tethering them together in a line. This method will assist them in the operation.
Check everything. Nobody here! Careful! There's an obstacle on your right.
Understood. Be careful.
Unit halt. There's an injured man here. We found an injured man under the planks.